Yo guys, so it is literally 24 hours until the first piece is played, and I'm actually really excited. I've been packing, getting ready for the tournament, but there are a couple things I gotta do. I work later today, so yeah, I'm gonna have a pre-game nap. I gotta do some things. Gotta make sure the house is ready for when my parents come back and all that stuff. But that's not to worry. We're gonna have a pre-game nap. We're gonna get ready for this tournament, and we're gonna have fun. And yeah, I'm pretty excited. I went over a little bit of preparation, not too much. I've decided not to play any chess games today. That's kind of a superstition with some chess players, not to play any games before the tournament and to over exhaust your brain. So yeah, I think I'm gonna do that. And yeah, I'm pretty excited. Pretty much all packed up and ready to go. But yeah, I will see you all later when I leave for the tournament. Good morning, everybody. It is 7 o'clock, pretty much 10 minutes to 7. Pretty much ready to go. Look at this fit, as you can see. And we are ready to get going. We have all the hotel stuff worked out, and everything is packed. And yeah, I'm really excited, honestly. Had a pretty decent sleep, probably around 7 hours. Most of it was light, but we'll take what we can. And yeah, I'm pretty excited. And the rest, I'll let you know how it goes, and yeah, I'll show you tournament venue and everything. And yeah, it's gonna be a fun time. I just don't need to be worrying at all, and I'm just here to enjoy myself and see how much I've improved in the last year. So let's go. Thank you, Pass Taken. Welcome to the Road to Title Series, the very first round of the 2025 Lethbridge Open. And where can we even start? I mean, this was one heck of a tournament. I mean, I'm not going to spoil anything, but yeah, this was a lot of fun. And yeah, so in the first round, I didn't know who I was going to get paired against. They didn't bring out pairings until like 10 minutes before the game started. And I was like, okay, so I prepared against everyone that I could have possibly prepared against who had a database. And my very first opponent was someone that I prepared against. And so that person was Robert Berza. And Robert is around 1828, pretty strong player. And I believe he's from Edmonton. Don't quote me on it, but yeah, he came out to play in this tournament. And yeah, he was one of the stronger players. I think he was like third top seed in the tournament, or maybe second. But yeah, he was one of the more elite players. And for me, I was just like, okay, we're not going to focus on rating. He's 300 points better than me. He's played in more tournaments. But I did some research on Robert, and he plays the French. So he plays E6, E4, E6, and I was going to play D4, D5, and then I was going to play Charge and see what he did. Because I knew that in one of the games he played against a titled player, he played Knight F6, and then there's ideas of going E5. And I was pretty ready for this. So for example, here, this, I think there's this, and yeah, I think if he played C5, I would just play Knight F6, and life would go on, and yeah, so I was thinking of these different variations and stuff, and yes, that's how the game went. So E4, E6, D4, D5, Knight 2, Knight to D2. And so yeah, this is the start of the charge defense, and basically you're just trying to protect this pawn with a modern developed knight. And so continued part of this variation is C5, and that's normal. And I know that in this variation you actually take the pawn here, so it takes, and this is where the fun begins, because there are two most popular variations, and there is E takes D5, which I was expecting him to play, and Queen takes D5. And after Queen takes D5, I'm out of theory completely. I was thrown off on move 4, and I didn't know what to play. And I guess the most popular move is Knight G to F3, and basically you go for this attack with the bishop and try and fight for the pawn in the center with the bishops and the knights, and you somehow regain this pawn, or by going like knight to b3 and then attacking it like so. So you bring out your knights and it looks like this. So for example, the variations continue. Here takes bishop c4, queen d6, and then you play castles, and let's say they continue to play developing moves, you play knight to b3 and you just attack this pawn. Unfortunately I didn't do that, and yeah, I played this because I'm completely out of theory, and my opponent was completely thrown off too. So this is good because now we're both out of theory. And so he just continued to play his game. He played knight to c6, attacking the pawn. I played c3 because this looked like the most developing and natural move. There's still one game in the Masters database against 22200s playing this back in 2011, but does that even matter? No, that doesn't matter. So he played knight f6. I played bishop to d3 because, for example, if takes and takes and takes and takes and takes, I just have bishop check and I can win his queen. But that's the entire idea of queen or bishop d3. So he didn't take. The computer says to take, but that's with some interesting variations of holding on the pawn with, bishop c4, bishop c5. He goes bishop d3, or sorry, bishop. What do you mean bishop d3? Bishop d7. I go knight g to e2, protecting this pawn one more time, and getting ready to castle, and planning to either go knight to f4 or knight to g3. One of the moves. And my opponent plays the most shocking move, bishop to e7. And I probably spent a good 15-20 minutes thinking, isn't his queen just trapped? Because for me, I saw c5. I actually saw like c5, queen here and bishop here, and his queen is completely trapped. And this is what I did see. But I had to figure out the variation, so I was like, okay, well, let's calculate this out. So I did see c4. I thought c4 was great. There's c4, queen h5, knight to g3. I think it's, yeah, you have to go queen g4 and h3. And I did see this. But I was like, oh no, black's safe after going here. And when you have a complete blind side of your bishops taking over the safe squares, yeah, I found myself talking myself out of this variation. So yes, even after bishop e7, I'm completely winning after c4. Like, it's crazy because like I did see c4, but I talked myself out of it. I said, oh no, this doesn't work, because he just finds himself safe. But I completely forgot about this bishop being here. Like, how can I forget about this bishop being here when this bishop is protecting this one pawn that kicks out the queen? Like, yeah, it made absolutely no sense to me. And so I spent like 15 minutes and I played bishop f4. Like, it was probably the most heartbreaking thing to realize after the game that you could have won his queen. Because he realized as well, he said, yeah, I made a mistake and I was hoping you wouldn't play c4. And so I was so distraught. So now black has the slight edge. They can just castle and continue their development. But then I was kind of weirded out after black played c4. And I knew this was a mistake. I said, why would you play c4? Now you've just weakened this pawn permanently. And now you have to try and catch up with this and this. And with this move, I can just go back and play a4, and you have no attack on the queen side. In fact, there's nothing you can do. And this will be a forever bad bishop, and all of my pieces are developed, and I will be in good shape. And so I played bishop to c2, and I said, you know what? Suspicions is actually better for me. He castles, I castle, h6, and a4. And I was like, wow, I have everything I ever wanted. Like, this was the exact position I dreamed of. If I didn't play c4, if I didn't, if he didn't hang his queen, first of all. But like, yeah, bishop to d6, attacking my bishop. I was completely fine with taking that and then bringing my rook to the center. Still have a very nice development in my game. And now I'm planning to go knight e to g3 and then bring my knight on a very strong square of e5. And basically now I can control e5 with 1, 2, and then possibly even 3 pieces. We shall see. But then he plays a really, really weird move. And I was so shocked when he played it. And he played rook f to b8. What? What does that even accomplish? Okay, so your idea is this. But do you realize that I can just take and you now have isolated pawns? Like, okay. And of course, you're going to attack my weak b2 pawn. But what? Like, now you've just like pretty much put your rooks on the most inactive files. Like, why not just put your rook onto a square that can attack this pawn now? Because you're trying to fight for e5. Why not just put it here? Like, it made no sense at the time, and I was just like perplexed. So I was like, okay, continue on with the development of your pieces, right? Knight e to g3, right? Normal development. White has a Skookum advantage. And it's a very nice positional advantage, but White has to be careful because they have to play all the right moves and, get active. So b5, I was expecting this. So I was like, okay, I'm expecting this. And I decided that, okay, I can take, but I really don't want to activate his rook. I kind of want him to, figure this out. And in fact, I was kind of hoping that he would actually play an interesting variation that I thought. So I played the sneaky move, but not the best move, queen e2. And the point of queen e2 is, let's say you take, okay? Let's say you take, right? And I take back the rook, and you try to get greedy. You would just have check here, and I win your rook. That was the entire idea of queen e2. And so I thought it was extremely sneaky because I realized that, okay, now he doesn't have complete control over this file because I have discoveries. He takes, bishop takes, and this is the point in the game after knight to e7 that I had to figure out the winning variations. And for a long time I realized this pawn is hanging. Yeah, I figured out variations of, okay, should I take this pawn right away? Or should I trade off this bishop? And this bishop's not strong anymore, but my bishop is. And in the French, the light square bishop is the most weakest piece in the opening. And I had to realize that he had to take me first. And my position was better. Now I'm thinking, like, maybe I should have played this, but I think it was bad because now rook takes. And now I realize that now I don't cover the square anymore. And so I was like, okay, well, what should we do now? The only thing that keeps the advantage is knight to e5, I believe. Yes. And let's say takes and takes. The rook can't take anymore, and now I can just take this with the rook, or with the knight, actually, and be in great shape. But it's weird because I didn't do any of that, and instead I decided to take his bishop. And now black's in the game. After queen takes, I take this pawn, and now his rooks are able to get back to my file. And now I have no advantage. The only advantage was to make sure that these pawns were all protected. Either by a queen, or either by a rook, or possibly by a knight in the future. But I didn't do any of that, and I completely got greedy. I took his pawn, he took my pawn, and then I played knight here. And so I miscalculated that this was an important pawn to keep because now the rooks have the entire b file to harass me on. And so, yeah, that was a miscalculation on my part. I realized I should have just continued my normal development and, yeah, just enjoyed a strong center because now the knights can get back into the game. He can play something like this and like something like this, and get active knights. And, yeah, the position is no longer better for white. Queen to b7. Now, taking more ownership of this b file, I play queen to c5. And for me, I was kind of like, okay, well, if he ever leaves this b file, I can take his knight. And basically, I'm going to see if I can control as many squares as possible. And I thought this was a decent move for centralization. Plus, you can't go knight here because I just protect. And of course, he wants to probably set up some checkmating ideas and line everything up. So, for example, if I played f3, that would be pretty much losing. Yeah, that would be just horrible. So, queen to c5, a6, and now I feel like I should be fighting on the b file, but I don't, and I just play pawn h3, hoping that, you know, he's not going to checkmate me, and I have a lot for my king. So no back ranks, no nothing, just keeping it safe. Knight d to e5. A good centralizing move, now attacking this weak pawn, because now this is a backwards pawn, and the queen has to protect it. And, yeah, I can try and get other pieces, like knight g to e5, e4, but, yeah, that's out of my complete concern right now. And, yeah, that's what I tried to do. In fact, I did play knight g to e4, trying to protect his pawn, and I said, okay, well, what is he going to do after takes, like, okay, he's got my piece, but, okay, he takes this, but I take here, rook here, and queen takes rook, and this is what I calculated, and so I was like, okay, so this doesn't look terrible, but there's a different variation that I miscalculated. In fact, this is the variation I calculated. I thought, okay, if everything goes down after this, white's just nice. And white has a nice position. But there was another move that I forgot. After here, knight takes, rook takes. My opponent had rook c8. And I start malfunctioning at the board. This is a beautiful move. Attacking the weak pawn now. And what I think I should have done was I think I should have completely waited. And I think maybe a move like rook a to c8 would have been better, or rook a to c1 would have been better. But the computer doesn't like that. I think maybe the computer liked rook e to c1. No, not even that. What's crazy is that I think, even though I thought of those two moves during the game, I think the only move that keeps the position is the wild backwards move, like knight to e2 or something. But yeah, even the computer hates it. So yeah. Oh wow, it's crazy. So looking at the computer, it wants me to play c4 because it knows that, I'm gonna get faced with rook c8, and you need to hold on to the pawn, and the pawn structure is no longer, in the game. So yeah, I completely forgot about c4. I didn't even think about that as an idea because I was just so in tune with holding on to the structure, and yeah, I realized that was not the idea. So yeah, this was the game-changing mistake. I go queen to a5, and he just takes the pawn. I go rook to g4, hoping for attacking possibilities. And yeah, this is where it gets crazy. Rook b1 check. And the only move that saves the game is king h2. And I saw this. But after king h2, I saw ideas of like, what was I thinking? Oh yeah. Rook takes, and then queen here, completely x-raying my knight, and then just playing h6 on the next move. Okay, yeah, I can go back here. But then he just has ideas of just going here and full throttling. Like, I was not I didn't like this at all. And for example, let's say I tried to do something else. Let's say I go right here. Like this is just completely lost for the white pieces. I mean, black is just up the pawn, and he's just going to be promoting his flank pawn. And I didn't like this at all. This is not the variation I liked. And so I was like, okay, well, don't want him to, attack me aggressively. So I actually played this. I played rook takes rook. But this is bad because now white has complete control over the game. Sorry, not white. Black. Black has complete control of the game. Queen and the rook and the knight all come together and harass my king. Queen takes, king h2, and then knight to e2. And I thought for a very, very long time. I was like, oh crap, am I just getting mated? Now what's crazy is I was like, okay, wait, I have just knight f3. Rook c8, so rook c1's coming. Like, I was like, oh no. Oh no, this is awful. And apparently, I think like the only move is like some bizarre move like this, where you have to like sacrifice a piece. Yeah, like even this is just bad. This is just game lost. And so like I sacrificed my rook to get some counterplay. And I was like, oh, maybe I can hold this. But it's funny because actually king to e8 is the only move they like holds. And yeah, like black is just checkmating on the next move. Like it's crazy. Like you can decline the rook and yeah, you can't do anything. Like black is just completely winning and you're just going to get checkmate on the move. Funny thing enough is that my opponent took, and so now I had queen to e5 and I won his knight. So, okay. I'm a knight for a rook. And yeah, this was going to be interesting because now I had to deal with a flank pawn and I was down a minor piece and in the exchange, and I was like, okay, we're holding, but this is not a good position to fight. Rook h1. King g3, queen here. Only move, king f4. And if you go here, it's actually just mate in a couple moves. I think it's one of the main variations is I'm trying to think. Oh yeah, queen here, and I think this is unavoidable. This is like unavoidable mate, which is crazy. And yeah, I mean that's just insane. And I did see that, so I was like, okay, well the only move is here. Surprisingly, he did not take my pawn. So, okay, if he took my pawn, everything would have been isolated again. But there's no mates because knight holds both of these like squares. So he plays rook to a1. I played queen to b2, hoping to maybe get some checks on his rook. He goes here. Look at this. Very nice move from long distance. In the board, I thought, wait, he just hung his rook. And then I realized, oh, wait, his queen's there. I was like, oh, this is just bad. This is just bad. And I was like, okay, well, let's give the king a check. He goes here. And yeah, negative 3.8. So still losing. But we both were low on time. I think he had like 5 minutes and I had like 19. Like I used my clock pretty generously this game because, first tournament coming back for a year. And yeah, it was just all hell broke loose. So, I had to calculate, but my calculating was lacking. And your calculating is lacking when you play queen takes pawn and lose to the tactic e5. Yep. If you thought, oh, you're just winning a pawn, well, you lose your queen. You just guarantee lose your queen after this. Like, yeah. And when I saw this, I couldn't believe it. I was like, it was so funny. He played e5. I smacked the table and I was like, oh my goodness. And then I gave him a handshake and I was like, after that game, I was like, what a weird game. Like, honestly, so much stuff going on. Like, I could have just played positionally, but I was thinking like too much. I felt like I was overthinking sometimes. But besides the accuracy and everything, it was kind of funny, but I felt like I had gotten better, which is weird because this game was just an absolute mess for a first round game. I mean, what do you expect? But yeah, there was a lot to learn, and there was a lot of different ideas. For example, I think I should learn a little bit more about the French, and especially the Charge variation, because I do like the Charge, but I have to be more well prepared. I mean, knight d to f3 is just a completely oversight of your lack of openings, and maybe I have been pretty good in some openings, and I've really nailed down repertoires for, like, let's say the Sicilian and the Caro-Kann, but like the French is probably one of my weak points. Now now that I've got the Sicilian defense as one of my weak points, now it's one of my strong points. Now we got to work on the French, guys. So like, this is what I mean. So it was a fun game. I mean, oh my gosh, like, I see this now. I see this is just a 1600 level tactic. This is just, yeah, this is just a simple oversight of a completely winning position. But yeah, that was round one. I mean, what do you expect? Like, what a first round. I mean, hey, I was playing a strong opponent. My opponent drove a couple hours. I drove a couple hours. We were kind of still getting our bearings, and yeah, it was kind of but it was a fun game. It was a fun game. Still got a lot to learn. I think this entire tournament, just on the first like couple of games, it's very important to learn. Number one, your calculations, like calculate all the way through your variations. And number two, I think end games are important. And yeah, you'll see in all the other games kind of what went on. But yeah, we lose game one, but we always have game two. And I will be sharing that one with you guys tomorrow. So thank you. Continue to stick around for the series. And we will catch you all later. And yeah, if you guys have any comments that you'd like to say, any tournaments you'd like me to be a part of for future, that would be fun. It'd be something I'd be willing to do. But yeah, that's round one. We'll catch you in the next one.